In this video, I want to help you to understand if your hamstrings are actually tight and what you can do about that. So let's go. Thanks for checking out the channel. My name's John. I'm the head therapist here at John W Sports Injury. If you're new to our channel, what we like to do here is three simple things. Help you understand your body so that you can be getting rid of that pain or any weaknesses or imbalances so that you can strive forward and hit all of your health and well-being goals. So if you haven't subscribed yet, or as we make our way through this video, you think these are the type of tips and tricks you want to be seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe and the bell notification so I can keep you updated. But today let's talk hamstrings. Hamstrings are something that commonly can become tight. And often people say to me, I have tight hamstrings. Well, what do we mean by tight hamstrings? Well, what we're alluding to here is that the hamstrings are reduced in their flexibility. We don't have as much length available to us from that hamstring tissue as we would like to create movements. Now, this is a very common thing for people to be tight in those hamstrings. And yes, this can be problematic. We can get soreness in those muscles as a result, but also at the points that the muscles are attached into, it can create dysfunction. So we know that our hamstrings, they come and attach onto the back of our pelvis, and they also attach below our knee. So if we have tight hamstrings, they can be creating extra force on both those areas, potentially manifests itself in lower back pain or back of knee pain. So do we have tight hamstrings? Well, a classic test that people might say to me is, I'm unable to touch my toes, so therefore I've got tight hamstrings. Now, whilst hamstring flexibility will certainly aid this test in itself can be a little bit flawed because it requires multiple things to happen. Yes, we need good hamstring flexibility to be able to touch our toes, but we also need good flexion through the lumbar spine in order to be able to bend, in order to be able to get into that position where we touch our toes. So it could be, if we can't reach those, that we have perfectly adequate hamstring length, but we have a restriction through lumbar flexion. It might also be related to our general makeup, our general anatomy. If we're particularly long in the trunk, in the body, compared to our leg length, then actually it's going to be easier to reach your toes than the opposite person, who might even be the same height as the first person, but if they're long in the leg and reducing the trunk, they're going to find it harder to reach your toes. So how am I going to help you to assess your hamstring flexibility right now? Well, you can do this simply by lying down. I'm going to dive over onto the bed. So if you're just lying down at home, this can be on the floor or on a bed, it's important that we lie nice and flat. And when we pick a side that we're going to assess, the key thing here is that we now keep our hips flat on the floor or bed, and the other leg, so if I test my right hand side first, the other leg must remain flat. Now, the easy thing to do with this test is to cheat, but what we're looking to do is to lift our leg as far up as it can go. Now, what can commonly happen? The first thing that we always see is that people start to bend their leg a little bit. Now, what is happening here in terms of a test is that we're taking our hamstrings off of slack. So if I bend my leg, I'll be able to get my leg much further than if my leg was straight. See, if I bend, I can bring that further. So I get a flawed result. So it's important that we keep our legs straight. The other thing that happens is if we get to a certain point and then the other leg starts to lift a bit, or our pelvis rotates, it then becomes easier to take that further. So it's vitally important that that leg remains flat on the bed and that these hips remain still. And then what we're looking to do is bring that leg up. Now, what are we aiming for here? We are aiming for 90 degrees of hip flexion here. So you can see I can't quite achieve that. I'm a little bit tight in the hamstrings, which is quite common, particularly in the male population, but I think we're striving to be at least at about 80 degrees as we bring that leg up. Remember, that knee being locked out and not bent. So if you find that this is difficult and you can't get as far as that, we commonly see people in and around this type of position. That's certainly an indicator that we might be tight in our hamstrings. Now, there's many ways that we can stretch out our hamstrings, but as we're in this position, we can utilize this as a stretch, keeping the same principles of bringing the leg to that position with that nice and flat, pelvis is on the floor, we don't want to get to a point where we're really straining, but we want to just be looking to hold that position there for 30 seconds. So we know with our static stretches that we're looking to hold this position for 30 seconds. If you find it difficult to get to a position, what you can look to do is turn this into what we call a passive stretch, where we can bring the leg a little bit further. And again, we want to be holding this for 30 seconds. So you can just use something like your hands or even something like a cord or a band to just hold that position. Now, what I want to do now is to make this a little bit more advanced for you, because what we want to do is use our anatomical knowledge, and we know that we have 3 hamstrings. So what we can do here is change our toe position to 3 different positions that will allow us to catch each of the hamstrings. So if we go into a stretched position, turn our toe out, and you'll feel that on the inside. Hold it for 30 seconds. Come to straight and you'll feel that move through the middle. Hold that for 30 seconds. Turn our foot in and you'll feel that get the outside hamstring for 30 seconds. Once we've completed each of those stretches, then we can then just simply repeat on the other side. Same principles. So there we have it. It's something that we speak about a lot. Hamstring flexibility is vital, that we're keeping those as flexible as possible. So if you do that test there and you find that you're far away from that 90 degrees, factor that into your day. It's something that, as you've seen, can be done nice and easily, lying down, watching TV. But if we factor in little and often, doing that stretch once or twice a day, every single day, you will see the benefits. Give yourself about a week in between testing. Keep up the regular stretching, retest a week later, and watch your results improve. And as a result, watch your overall feeling around flexibility, lower back pain, back of knee pain, all will be improved by making this one simple adaptation to your life. Has that been helpful? If it has, you can help me by hitting that like button now. If you've got this far in the video, I know that it's content that you've been enjoying. Please do hit that like button, because others will be able to see these type of videos, and it shows me that this is the type of stuff you want to see. And here's another video that we think is going to be helpful for you, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.